Welcome gamers, I'm Morgan and this is my New World versus World of Warcraft comparison. I'm a veteran WoW player of almost 17 years now. I have played lots of MMOs over the years, including Star Wars The Old Republic, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy XIV, Rift, Neverwinter, ESO, just to name a few of my favorites. Most recently I've started playing New World and I thought after a few months of the game being out, it is time to compare the game to my all-time favorite, World of Warcraft. Quick disclaimer before we start, this is just my personal opinion and you might think I'm a little biased because of how long I've played WoW, and to be honest you might be right. I'll try and keep it as objective as possible to give you a fair comparison. So sit back and enjoy and let me know how you think the two MMOs measure up to each other after you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. First off, let's compare graphics, the overall look of the game, the style and attention to detail. New World, being a game that released this year, 2021, obviously has great graphics, especially for an MMO. Beautiful vistas, detailed textures, and yes, it can be a little heavy on your GPU. Amazon, however, has fixed most of these issues and the game is running smoother and better than before. The design choice of New World is not your standard fantasy MMO style with elves, orcs and humans, but shows more of a 17th century based fantasy alternate timeline. Artists took inspiration from lots of different cultures and made a beautiful looking world. Sometimes I just stand still to take in the view. Look at that. Let's get to WoW. Here's a game that is almost 17 years old by the time I make this video. A lot has changed from vanilla all the way to Shadowlands, the latest expansion. Naturally, the parts of the world that have been built back in the day feel a lot more dated, but do have a certain style to it. In WoW, I always notice how every little place in the world has a story behind it. It all makes sense. Nothing is just randomly built and given a name. It all leads back to some quest or story in the lore. So back to graphics. The newest zones currently in WoW are the zones situated in the Shadowlands and they are beautiful. Where New World has a pretty realistic feel to their graphics, WoW is more cartoony. This is why I think World of Warcraft has aged so well. New World has vistas, but so does WoW. There's one more thing I'd like to compare in this graphics section, and that is animations. New World has some great animations, though I do not feel they are Pixar Disney level great. If anything, most characters have the same animations. I can barely see the difference between female or male animations. Don't get me wrong, the animations are not bad, they just seem to miss a certain flavor to me. The lack of different races also makes it hard to introduce new animations. Combat animations look great though, fluent and impactful. When you hit something with a great hammer, you know they're going to feel it. Now, WoW's animations, I am just the greatest fan of these. Every race has its own animations. Not only that, males and females have their own separate animations within the race. This allows for quick identification of race identity in the world. I can spot the undead scum from miles away. Sure, there has been some copy-paste for animations. For example, most horse mounts have the same animation as do a lot of different monsters in the world. But with that sheer amount of different animations, who really cares? It just looks good. Hello. On the topic of customization, there WoW definitely beats New World. For example, if I want to be a brutish orc, I have so much to choose from. Magar to regular orc, tattoos, war paints, upright, hunched over, skin color, you name it. Sneaky undead scum? No problem. Snobby high elf? Yes, we have those now. I could keep going, but there's definitely no lack of customization in WoW these days. We still want more, Blizzard. New World does have some character customization, but for now it's still pretty minimal, especially compared to other MMOs and not just WoW. We can choose one race, which is human, gender, skin color, some faces, haircuts, facial hair, scars, tattoos, all that stuff. Now Amazon has said they will expand on these options, so I'm pretty excited to see what they come up with, as some of these combos look really good. I'd love to see an in-game barber surgeon shop where you can change your appearance. Of course, New World is still very new and WoW has had 17 years to get where they are now, so keep that in mind. New World still has lots of potential to really expand on their customization options. Next up, gameplay. New World comes in with a big one here. Aimed shots, action combat, I absolutely love it. When you aim your musket, not only do you have to aim at your opponent, if you have aim at their head, you get headshots. Ranged weapons especially feel great. It is engaging gameplay and it really adds a new layer of skill to combat. You can also actively block attacks or dodge, which is an integral part of the tanking role in New World. The combat just feels amazing, and if you're up for a challenge, you can pick up healing too, which does feel like it can still use some work in how you target your allies, but my, is it satisfying to support your group and be good at it, not just through gear, but because you've mastered your aim and timing. World of Warcraft is more traditional, tab targeting. You press an ability on your action bar, and if you're facing your opponent, it will hit. Most of the time, the only requirement is that you have a line of sight of your opponents or allies and that you're facing them. With healing, you can even turn your back to your friends if you feel upset.
Not. Thank you.
I'd say New World wins this round.
Oh-ho-ho!
Now, classes. This is something that is harder to compare. WoW has very distinct classes. You pick a paladin, for example, and you level it from 1 to max level. And each class has different roles they can perform, DPS, tank or heal. Classes are a huge part of WoW, and usually players make multiple alts to experience more than just one type of gameplay. Flavor of the month. I usually gravitate towards paladin, hunter, druid, rogue, death knight, priest, mage, warlock, demon hunter, monk. Someone help me please. Blizzard has done a great job to create distinct class fantasy, where when you play, for example, a Death Knight, you really feel like everything your class can do fits the theme. New World. No classes, you start out the same as everyone else, but you get to choose along the way. You can use any weapon, put your attribute points in any combination you like. You can customize your skill trees and pick abilities that you want. Granted, it's not the 40 plus different keybound abilities a druid in World of Warcraft has, but it makes for a lot of creative builds for your character. You can even change loadouts whenever you want. And if you have enough in-game currency, you can switch your attributes and weapon skills anytime to fit any role. Get tired of being a musketeer? Just switch out your weapons and start chopping with your great axe. New World system is much more flexible, though it does lack some class fantasy, which I very much enjoy about WoW. I call this one a tie. Okay, I'll be honest, I'm not much of a lore reader. I do enjoy reading the odd quest here and there, and sure I take my time leveling, but I'd be lying if I really follow the stories in both games meticulously. I know New World we're supposed to go somewhere and end up on a magic island that has trouble with some corrupted, our captain switches sides, we kind of whacking around in the dungeon, and yeah, I mean, I mostly clicked all those lore nodes for the XP, right? World of Warcraft lore seems a bit more fleshed out. Maybe because I've been exposed to it for 17 years, some of it kind of stuck with me. I love the Warcraft universe as a whole, and I feel more connected to the characters in the main story than I do to the ones in New World. I can't really judge this section as I feel I can't truly do it justice with my lack of knowledge on lore, so I'll call this one a tie as well. Let's get to the meat of things. Dungeons, raids and general PvE. New World does a great job of this. Right out of the gate they have dungeons spread across multiple level ranges with plans to introduce a scalable system where you can run lower level dungeons as a max level and still have a meaningful experience. Much like Mythic Plus in WoW, if you're familiar with that. Of course, World of Warcraft has well over 100 dungeons spanning over multiple expansions and also makes older content relevant through a thing called time walking. New World will have a hard time competing with WoW in terms of volume. However, in terms of how the dungeons are designed and the way you tackle encounters, I'd say they are very similar, and New World provides a fun experience as well. Raids. WoW has a great track record when it comes to raids. Not many other games have reached the same level of difficulty and diversity. Over the years, Blizzard has had a lot of practice creating challenging encounters. That's not something any game can easily beat anytime soon. If you like fighting big bosses with a team of players, raids are for you, and you will get the best experience in World of Warcraft hands down. You have a choice of 4 difficulties where the hardest difficulty gives the best gear. New World does not have the traditional raid yet. Instead, they have what is called invasions. This is actually very similar to War, the PvP encounter where players fight over the governing rights to a territory, except now you're fighting NPCs. If you lose an invasion, facilities in your occupied territory will be downgraded. If you win an invasion, you'll get some currency, loot, and your territory will remain upgraded. New World being a mostly PvP-oriented game, with pushing territory conflict as its major selling point, seems a bit lacking in terms of PvE endgame content. But don't worry, they have plenty of time to add more. Open World PvE. Both games offer a huge world with many quests and activities. New World has some corrupted dynamic events and a very engaging outdoor world where almost everything can be interacted with. Not only is it great to look at, but the gathering is just so damn satisfying. Granted, it is a grind, but why play an MMO if you don't like a good grind? Trees can be chopped, plants gathered, ores mined, animals skinned and fish fished. The world feels like it always has something to give. To the point where you need to choose what you're going to do, or you're coming home with a new printer when you were supposed to get milk. And I mean that in a positive way. All areas in New World also stay relevant, because of all the resources that you'll keep needing, even for the high tier stuff, but more on that later. WoW has a very stylized world, which I think is stunning. The daily quests and grinds are less immersive though. Open world PvE in WoW for me is mostly centered around grinding those reps out or leveling a new character. Next up, PvP. New World has an emphasis on PvP. Territories are an integral part of the game. Any company or guild that owns a territory can levy taxes and upgrade workbenches and the forts that are used in defense of the territory. Other companies can gain influence in that territory by doing PvP quests up to a point where they can declare war on the governing company fighting over its control. Players belonging to the same faction as the governing company also receive some benefits, such as reduced fast travel costs. As WoW only has 2 factions fighting each other in PvP, it is less dynamic. Also, territories are set by the developers and feel more static. Most PvP is instanced, and though there is some world PvP with a quest tied to it, New World does a much better job in incentivizing their players to participate in open world PvP. Both games offer the option to opt in or out of world PvP. WoW's instanced PvP though is great. I'll remind you, I didn't say balanced. Arenas have a ranked system and so do rated battlegrounds. There's also the casual versions of this in skirmish arenas and regular battlegrounds, and even epic battlegrounds where large groups of players duke it out. WoW also provides gear specifically tailored to PvP, which gives players who regularly participate in PvP and put in the effort to rank up the advantage. I think this is a great system. New World has Outpost Rush, which is basically a battleground for control points. And they have wars. Wars are where it's at. This is when players fight over the control of a territory. One team defending the fort and one team attacking, trying to overtake control points to finally break through the fort and occupy it. Wars can be pretty intense because you really feel like there's something on the line, especially when you're defending and might lose your home province. I'd love to hear what you think about this one. I think they're pretty close.
I don't think so.
I feel like I should mention crafting, as it is such a big part of New World. When you step into the world, you can instantly start picking up resources, and if you want, you could just do that all the way up to max level. It will take a while, but hey, it's possible. So you've started gathering. If you thought the gathering grind was intense, wait till you try to level up your crafting to the max. You need so many resources. This is the game for crafters. It is absolutely huge. The whole world is designed to be collected, and everything has its use in multiple professions that all connect with each other. For example, You might need leather for making leather armor, but you'll need it for weaponsmithing, engineering, and heavy armor too. Every resource in the world has value and stays valuable, as you also need all the lower tier resources for the highest tier crafts in the game. Also, you get to do all the crafting professions. World of Warcraft's crafting is more traditional, mostly used for consumables, some gear and more consumables. I do enjoy making old world stuff for Transmog or just completing the list of recipes I have at my disposal. You get 2 professions of your choice, on top of cooking and fishing. Also archaeology, but that will no longer be updated. Sag. I reckon New World wins big on this one. Trading post versus auction house. When New World launched, each territory had their own local market. You could sell something in Everfall for double the price of what it was listed for in Windsward. Though at first this seemed great and made for some great selling opportunities in all the different zones, it meant some zones that were less frequented would rarely see any sales. Amazon has announced they will probably have trading posts just be a single market accessible from any territory. The interface for the trading post still needs a lot of work. Selling different items from the inventory is a real chore, as there's no search function for items you own and can sell. Once you've sold something, it also jumps back in the list to the top of your inventory, making you scroll down to where you were before. Regardless, these are small issues that can be easily fixed, and overall selling is not that hard to do in New World. WoW's auction house has undergone many changes over the years, but its greatest advantage is third-party add-ons that make it so much more efficient. Trade Skill Master or Auctioneer are add-ons that let you fully customize how you sell and buy items on the auction house. This is something Blizzard themselves never could get right, but luckily have allowed add-ons to manage it for them. Let's talk housing and other customization. New World provides player housing. You can buy up to 3 houses of varying size. A player can customize its interior and place storage. You can also craft your own furniture and in so doing really design your own style of interior. There's also a leaderboard for each house, where the house of the player with the most points is the one on display in town. World of Warcraft has tried in the past with garrisons but never truly grasped what players wanted. Garrisons felt lonely, you could place the buildings and upgrade them, but there was barely any customization where you could place furniture or give buildings a racial style. Please Blizzard, give us player or guild housing. There have been great suggestions on the forums over the years. Lastly, I'd like to mention transmogrification. Now this is the main reason I play any game. I like to play dress up, I admit. If I can't make the character look the way I want to, I'll quickly lose interest. World of Warcraft does a great job at that, with so many different races and armor sets that you can pick from. You can hunt for transmog in older content, and sure there is some cash up items, but the vast majority of items can be found in-game, and if you really want to try hard, you can go for exclusive items that require a high PvP ranking, or some time-limited items like you can get from the Mage Tower. New World does have a die system, which ties into crafting, and I like it a lot. I hope they really expand on it. In terms of actual transmog, they don't offer much. Even though you can buy entire sets off the cash shop, any items you collect in game you can't learn the appearance of like you can in World of Warcraft. This makes everyone look very similar, because everyone is using the same few cosmetics you can get from the cash shop. Or it makes you look like some random collection of stuff that doesn't really go well together most of the time. I feel like New World could easily still improve on this a lot, and I really hope they do, because in the long run, customization is what keeps me playing, and with me I think a whole bunch of other people too. So, this is my comparison of New World and World of Warcraft. How do you think the 2 games compare? Did you quit one game for the other, or are you playing both like a boss? Let me know in the comment section below what game you're playing, and if you have a different view on it. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like. I'll see you next time.